Hi there to my Earth Dominant people. Let's see what blessings are coming your way in the month of October. I'm going to pull a Healing Crystals card from one of the Healing Crystals decks. Ammonite. Ammonite. What do we get from Ammonite? Empowering, energizing, cleansing. Interesting. So there's going to be, perhaps there's a time of gaining inner strength, learning through pressure, right? Or sometimes positive stress, but sometimes it can be a little much. And, as we navigate and learn to find resources internally, that can really give us this sense of strength and resilience. And it looks like there's going to be some easing of some pressure or stress and cleansing of some of those influences. I'm seeing actually something from the root chakra coming up and illuminating out. Almost like this alchemical process of moving up through the chakras. Could be Kundalini energy activating. Something from the root, could be a fear, right? Something you've been investing life force energy into here. In the material plane, and maybe unconsciously doing so. Something that is sort of was inherited. It was just this unconscious agreement or force because everyone else around you was doing it. That can be a belief system, a thought, right? A religion. It can be anything like that. And perhaps you're transmuting that into almost like a greater sense of belonging, right? Something that was so confining and constricting becomes so illuminating as you gain more awareness around the origin or how it influences and fits in your life in particular. I'm going to move into some oracle cards and see what else. So some awareness there as well. Interesting. Apophyllite, another crystal. That's the earth element coming in, right? Crystals are the earth. Your positive, so increased support. Nice. Your positive focus and willingness to receive have opened the doorway to an abundance of help and opportunities. Beautiful. So learning to receive, right? Sometimes with earth dominance, what happens is there's this perfectionistic critical sense that really actually helps you create excellent things. You produce excellence, right? There's a touch of excellence in everything you do. So that's a beautiful thing, but there can be this tendency to take on everything yourself, right? Because other people fall short. And this month, maybe you are having a realization that there's someone around you or a support system around you that can carry some of the burden for you. And that's a beautiful thing. Apophyllite might support that. I'm going to go to another oracle. Join in. Join in. Amazing. So a sense of community, something you're called to join, a group. Maybe it's a Facebook group, something virtual probably at this point. As we're still distancing a bit, right? We're still coming into navigating back into the public, figuring those things out. Something that feels good to join, right? Sometimes the sayings coming in about I would never join a club that would want me as a member or something like that. Who said that? Some famous was it Milton Berle or some famous comedian said that? If you know, put it in the comments. I can't quite recall at this moment, but that that's where the inner critic might come in, where it turns on you, right? It can be used as a weapon against you too. But finding a community or a group that is supportive, you might find is a huge resource this month. That's a beautiful thing. One more card, one more oracle. Counseling. Counseling. You heal with kind words, wise advice, and an empathetic ear. Beautiful. So part of the support is people that you can respect their opinion. And maybe these are people in this group, this support group. Maybe it is a literal support group, or recovery group or something like that, or one-on-one counseling. You know, finding a way to, or mentorship, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be counseling, but someone who offers sound advice, has the results you're seeking, you trust their wisdom, or, you know, the strategy they use, right? Their methodology, and it feels freeing. It feels like it's safe to be authentic and to release, to unburden some of this, right? To transmute some of this. I'm going to move to, let's see, the Archetype cards by Carolyn Meese, and just see what part of you wants to take the spotlight. Get some of these healing vibes, or this part that might actually provide some support for you this month. Let's see. Martyr. Hello. Martyr. So when the martyr's integrated, right, and there's an awareness around the martyr attribute or part, archetype, the light attribute, learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause, right? And that's what I was seeing with the alchemizing that energy of where to invest can be transmuted, transcended. Beautiful. So learning to transcend nature, learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause, right? Instead of martyring yourself. And then the shadow attribute is addiction to self-pity. And seeing where you have accountability in that, because this is a month of empowerment for you. So if you're able to see your accountability and take ownership of the process there, how does that start? Where does that start? What action do I take when I'm feeling really good? That's usually when it starts, right? When I'm feeling really good, I overbook myself, or I promise that I'll show up. And when the time comes to fulfill all of these obligations, I'm giving energy I don't really have. Maybe that's where the energy investment's coming in. So this is something you're navigating away from. This is an old paradigm that you're stepping out of and stepping into an empowered place where you're learning not to agree up front, maybe, and give yourself time to really reflect and think through so that you can fully commit. And also maybe delegating some of the responsibilities to others who can step up in a similar way to you, or even have a unique vision for something that maybe you can't see, right? Because we all have our strengths and our blind spots. And maybe someone who's really strong in one of your blind spots will feel very supportive to you. You don't need to bring on somebody to support you that's just like you, right? Because is that really supporting? Let's see. Where do we go from here? I'm going to pull... I'm going to pull an essential oil, the power of essential oils. No, essential oil oracle cards by Lisa Powers. That's what it is. I knew power was in there somewhere. Let's look. Let's see if there's an essential oil. You know, something that's been coming in, it's interesting. Some people like to buy a bunch of new decks and just constantly be working with new decks. I find that I like to dive deep in my connection with the ones I have, and they start becoming more and more accurate. The more I gain an affinity with them. And it takes some of the pressure off of me to see everything. And maybe that's similar to what you're able to feel support in. Because I don't know why that came in to share, but maybe there's this pressure to always innovate and find new things. But what if your nature is to dive really deep? Just knowing yourself and knowing your strengths and skills. And maybe the innovation and learning how to innovate new technologies or implement new things can be outsourced, so that you can dive deeper into the things you're already great at and continue that excellence, right? That reputation of excellence, that might be something. But really this understanding and this empowerment in your strengths is coming in this month. Let's see what essential oil might support you as an added resource. Okay, we have Melaleuca. Melaleuca, also known as tea tree oil. Evolution is the key word. The trigger statement, things will never change. And the true statement, I attract only what is for my highest good. The imbalances and relationships that have been keeping you down are no longer needed. You are ready to transform. That's amazing. And you know, Melaleuca is so supportive when inhaled. It's supportive in helping you with boundaries. Something empaths, sensitives, artists sometimes, we're navigating how to create stronger boundaries, less porous, right? If that sounds like you, Melaleuca might be a great oil to work with. Inhaling, it's pretty potent. Let's go to the Alchemical Tarot Renewed by Robert M. Place and see what the Tarot has to say. For my Earth Dominant people in the month of October, what are some blessings? It already sounds great. Support's coming in to take some of that work out of your hands, but still maintaining excellence, right? So you can dive deep into the things you're really strong at. Also maybe someone who can bring you some really sound advice or strategy in some area. And you can trust this person or this group. You're going to feel a stronger sense of community, less alone, empowered in your strengths, right? Transmuting those perceived weaknesses into strengths. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the marriage card. So we also have the lovers meeting card in this spread. So if you're not already in a committed partnership, you might be finding someone this month or meeting somebody who has potential here for this strong soulmate connection and commitment, right? This is a committed partnership. And so the first card we have is a High Priestess. So maybe this is something you're working with, you're manifesting, right? We see the alchemical symbol of water, but it's red. Interesting. So it's either fire upside down, right? Because fire is red, or it's water, but it's just red. So it's indicating that fire is medicine for water energy, and can even purify earth, right? So there is this alchemical transformation happening. And that's what the High Priestess can represent, this inner transformation. It's internal, it's unspoken. It's working with the elements, working on transmutation, self-reflection, and it may be in secret, right? Maybe something that's just you're working with it. It could be working with the moon cycles. I think there's a full moon in Libra, no? Aries? There's a full moon coming up at the beginning of October. I think October 1st even. So maybe working with that energy of the moon to release, right? Because we looked at cleansing. We're releasing something here that's no longer working. Working with that moon. Maybe sensitivity to the moon. Things come to a head. Things that aren't working are released. A manifestation or an intention that was set with the new moon coming to fruition. Acknowledging what's working, releasing, refining what's not. That's what the opportunity of the full moon is, right? Because as we set the intent with the new moon, the energy of the moon growing into the full helps with the actualization. And then with the full moon, there comes the release and refinement of the intent. We also have, Aries. It is the Aries, I think, full moon. The Emperor represents Aries. Emperor can also be divine counterpart, the masculine to your feminine, right? The earthly embodiment. As the High Priestess, her counterpart is generally seen as the Hierophant. When they come together in a spread, they can represent spiritual counterparts for a spiritual connection. This can represent a man coming in that sees you as his ideal, right? If you're showing up as the High Priestess, and he is looking at her kind of longingly, softened gaze. And she's very mysterious, right? She doesn't speak that outwardly, that directly. There's unspoken communication, indirect. There's just a vibe, maybe, with these two. So maybe you are, finding inner resources, and if you're already in partnership, it draws them closer, right? As you kind of go internal a little bit, or are looking at other projects and things, it draws them closer. But there is a breakthrough of some kind. We have the 5 of Vessels here. You can see the breakthrough as the vessel breaks. That can also represent the clearing. there's this idea that anytime glass breaks, there's a reason for that, because the energy needed clearing. The energy needed cleansed, so the glass broke. I found that to happen quite often when I worked in metaphysical stores or holistic centers, things like that. Glass would break if we hadn't cleared the energy. So be aware of that in case anything breaks, right? Or sometimes they say that about crystals as well. If it's really absorbed a lot of energy, there might just be a tendency to fall and break and shatter, or something happens and it has a crack in it. It breaks, it shatters. That can happen. So I guess same with people. They can only bear so much before they just release. And sometimes that's what happens in the full moon. There hasn't been this consistent release of emotions or whatever it is, right? And energies, things that we've absorbed, and then the full moon sort of just pushes it out of us, right? So know that as well. Maybe that's why the martyr's coming up too. What are you carrying? Are you carrying things for other people? And maybe that doesn't work anymore and it's outdated, and you have to renegotiate that agreement, right? We also have the two. The Two of Vessels is this meeting. Chance meeting of lovers. It can also be a renewal of the romance in a relationship. So, as I said, maybe you're busy with a project or this new community, or doing your inner work, and it draws partner closer. Or maybe this meeting happens when you join a group, find community. And then this can also be a partnership, partnering in business as well. But this looks pretty romantic to me. I mean, I wouldn't look at that and think, oh, business partnership, sure. And then we have the Ace of Cups, or Vessels in this deck. Ace of Vessels in this deck. The fish generally represents Pisces. We have some fruits here, some emotional fruits. Right? Or intuitive fruits. Maybe you've invested in intuitive development, or I say that because vessels represent intuition as well as emotions. So a new beginning. Dolphins just popped up on my Chromecast screensaver. Dolphins swimming in the ocean. That's really beautiful. There's two main ones. Sometimes they represent soulmates as well as telepathic communication, but there's another dolphin in the background there. So and there's a fish on this card, of course. Sometimes fish can represent Pisces, Piscean energy. And okay, so what's coming in is, crossing a body of water can bring about a clearing of your energy field. Whether that be walking across a bridge that's over a stream, right, or a river, moving water, even being near the ocean or going into swimming in the ocean can help clear. I'm also seeing sound waves. So like waves in the ocean, sound waves can also help clear. So maybe that's something that you're partaking in, like listening to meditation music that has these sounds that sound very etheric and sound like waves, and maybe even listening to healing waves or healing waters, so that you don't drown or burn up in your passions or burn out, right? This is Nine of Staffs. In this deck, it's staffs. This wolf, I believe, or coyote, is burning alive, symbolizing burning alive in your own passion or fiery emotion like anger. I think generally this is indicated as passion, but I know that because I studied with Robert. it can have a different meaning for you. Certainly with an Aries full moon, I'm sure that's going to be very fiery. That will set the tone maybe for part of the month. So looking at that, and fire can also represent refinement, right? Purifying in the fire. I'm getting that is about protecting from burnout by over giving, over delivering. Maybe that's a tendency that we're cutting out this month. And the blessings that yields is more resilience, being able to be more present in your relationship, having more quality energy to give there. I'm going to go to the angel medicine cards. So feeling more connected. Maybe you've been feeling separated. Maybe you've been feeling isolated, alone. So one of the rewards, the blessings coming in October, is more connection, more love, belonging. That's a beautiful thing. I'm going to go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards and see if there's another resource. Have you asked your angels for help with this? Your angels want to help you with the situation. However, they require your permission before they can intervene in your free will choices. Interesting that she's working with light, right? Which is similar to fire, because the sun symbolizes light as well. Illumination, the sun's fire. So fire has been showing up as an energy to purify, and water and fire. And they tend to work together, sometimes even bond in the system through inflammation. So perhaps you're, depending on where you're at, maybe there's a cooling of the temperatures outside, right? The weather is shifting. And that will be of benefit for you if you've been experiencing inflammation, possibly the cooling breeze, a nice sea breeze if you're able to get access there to the ocean. Where are we going here? I'm going to pull one last card from the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck by Chris Carr and see how this reading wants to wrap up. See if there is a nice bow that wants to be placed. Oh, lovely reading. Maybe one more after this. I pulled another deck as well. So I'll pull one of these and then maybe one more just to see. You are healing. You are healing. Healing happens in seasons. It can't be rushed or forced to fit a schedule. So often we curse the seeds that haven't taken root, failing to realize that it's not their time. They need more water, sunlight, and care. Bullying ourselves blocks regeneration. Also, sometimes the healing we're focused on isn't the healing that's taking place. There's a much deeper healing going on. Be patient, dear one. You are healing. That's beautiful. You're healing. Don't forget to ask your angels for support. I go directly to God, right? Or I commune with the nature spirits around me. Sometimes I can communicate with the trees, right? Or whatever nature is around me. And I find that supportive as well. So whatever resonates with you, know that you're really well connected. Maybe that's part of the support is knowing that you're not isolated. Right? Some people just don't resonate with talking to angels. And that's okay if you don't. I'm going to Life Loves You. This deck, the Life Loves You deck by Louise Hay and Robert Holden, I believe. To see if there's any guidance. I am creative. I am creative. Honor your unique gifts. Think of 3 ways you could express your creativity today. So part of this wisdom is channeling, right? Channeling. When you have strong emotions, right? Instead of burning alive in them, or feeling the heavy weight of emotion, right? It can be so transmutive and healing to express those emotions into a creative project. So are these emotions really actually guiding you to create something? Oh, and that can also be an indication. There can be an indication within relationship if there's a sense that your wisdom or your offering isn't as well received. That might be a sign that it's an opportunity to redirect that to a bigger audience or a different audience. One that's already receptive to your wisdom. I fell into this trap a lot. I'm offering, I'm learning all these cool things, trying to put it on 1 or 2 friends, right? And once they became resistant or irritated or resentful, that can be a sign that, I'm being redirected here, right? Do you ever hear that rejection can be God's redirection? So if you're feeling rejected or not valued, that could be a sign for you. It's not that what you're offering isn't valuable, it's just that it's not valued there. So can you kind of, instead of maybe feeling like a martyr or a victim, right, and thinking, here I am and I'm just not very, very valued, can you go where you're more appreciated and more valued? Maybe that's the community that's waiting for you, right? Or the partnership. All right, I hope that was helpful. Many blessings in October, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, Earth Dominant. Hi there to my Water Dominant people. Let's pull some cards to see what blessings are coming for you in October of 2020. I'm going to start with a Healing Crystals card. Azurite Galena. Ooh, that's a nice combo. Azurite Galena. The keywords are harmony, intuition, peace. Beautiful. My mind is clear and receptive to spiritual communication. Harmony, intuition, peace. So really, a stronger sense that you're being guided. Things that maybe hadn't been adding up come together and, now I see a fuller picture here. Right? Maybe there's some confusion here, or this suspense, the sense of suspension in some area, this lack of resolution, right? This sense of something's not resolved, this release, or this sort of aha moment, epiphany of it all coming together and making sense is coming in October. So the pieces and clues you've been collecting will start to make some sense here for you. That's great. Let's go to the Oracle cards and see what else is coming in for my Water Dominant people in October. Healthcare change. Healthcare change. Interesting. Healthcare change. So, So this could mean if you're Water Dominant and a very intuitive person, very sensitive to energy, absorbent perhaps, what can happen is we can have unusual symptoms that can't be explained. And oftentimes it's energetic. It's happening at an energetic level. Right, but clearly this is an advice not to seek medical attention when necessary, right? Definitely seek that out, and continue any services or support you're getting there. I would never advocate, not doing so. But I find that what really works together is when I incorporate alternative medicine with my healthcare practitioner's work, right? In a supportive way. That's been the best approach for me. Everyone has their own thing. But this month, what might happen is symptoms that have been, that you couldn't explain, you're going to have more clarity about why and what's actually happening, and whether that be, oh, you know what, every time I eat this certain food, or every time I have a close encounter or interaction with this particular person or type of person, I feel this symptom, or whatever it is. You might start to have more clarity around what's toxic for you, right? And it's not to call someone toxic, right? Because foods that you have an allergy or intolerance to doesn't mean that food is a bad food. It just means it's unfriendly for you. And that can be true of people too, with the different dynamics. So you might start to, all of a sudden make sense to these maybe mysterious symptoms that are coming in. That might be part of what's happening here. Gathering the clues, and it starts to add up, starts to make sense. We also have new career. It's very interesting. Once we start to kind of get rid of toxins in the environment, or I know that when I went on a really regimented diet that was very strict and refined, and it was really detoxifying my body, I also could not continue working in a very toxic job. That also was detoxed out of my life. And I went into the healing work more full time. So this might be something that's happening for you, where maybe part of the suffering or part of the lack of resolution you might be experiencing right now could be your calling. And maybe there's a pushing away from it because there's a bit of, I don't really know if that's for me, or am I making this up, right? Or imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough at this, or I could never make that work, right? So if we ignore that call long enough, it will really work to get our attention. So maybe part of the symptoms are also that you're calling, really shouting at you. It's starting to scream, not just call. Courage to confront the fears, right? And interesting that we all three of the cards were from this life path deck, because I have a bunch of cards mixed up in this bag. So courage to confront your fears, right? The fears don't go away. The imposter syndrome does not go away. We become more confident the more we experience, immerse ourselves into the experience, and have more and more successes add up, right? So have the courage here to really maybe listen to what your body's saying, right? Maybe you're getting clues and signs from your body and you're mistaking it as for illness, but maybe it's a sensation that's, can you just listen, right? And if you're going to the doctor and there's nothing there, right, that they can measure, consider that maybe it's your energy body interacting, your body's intelligence informing you of something, right? I went to a healer for a few years, and she really changed my life and changed the way I saw things, because I would go in and I would say, you know what, today on the train I got a little bit of a pain on my right side, in my abdomen, and she would ask me questions like, well, who was sitting on the other side of the subway? This was in New York City, right? Who was sitting on the other, across from you on the subway? And I was like, a couple of girls. She's like, men, because it's on your right side, right? I didn't know that then, but, and I said there wasn't any man there. She's like, okay, well, I'll track that when you're on the table, right? Because we would have a counseling session and then I would get on the table for healing. And she was one of the most incredible healers I ever worked with, and clairvoyant. So I laid on the table and she started tracking it, and it was a hook. Someone had hooked into me. And she was like, who was the man you were dating last month, that you broke up with last month? And I was like, it's a D name. And I was like, I couldn't think of it. It had been that far removed from me. And I was like, I couldn't think of it. I was like, I don't know. And she was like, and then she said his name because she remembered. And I was like, oh, that's right. And she's like, yeah, he hooked into you. He was thinking about you and sent a hook into you. And that's not like necessarily a malicious or negative thing. He was just tapping into my energy because he was curious about me. And I felt it in my energy field. And I thought it felt like it was inside. It felt like an organ, right? I was like, I don't know what organ is there, but, and then what ended up happening is he texted me that day. So then it was confirmed for me, oh, that was him. He was thinking about me. And I had, moment after moment like that with her, where she was just so spot on. And so what that said to me was that things I might be feeling and thinking they're physical symptoms or sensations might actually be perceptions of energetic exchange or relationship or in my energy body, right? I can count a million times where I mistook something as something happening to me or a force coming to me outside of me, but it was really my energy body and I was feeling it. So just know that maybe your sensitivity is increasing and you're having a sense around that. And you can go inside and ask what it is, right? Tune in and see if you can get a sense around that. I'm going to go to the Archetype cards by Carolyn Meese and see what part of you might want to take the spotlight or offer you more. Support, rewards, blessings. So the blessing in that is that something starts to make sense there for you. There's less fear when there's an awareness that, okay, that's my energy field. Oh, okay, that's that chakra activating. Or, okay, I feel unsafe, so I'm feeling tummy issues, right? So there's links there and connections. And the more you can inform yourself, the more you're armed with information and things become, more navigable and put into perspective, right? I personally am just more sensitive to energy, so it wouldn't make sense for me to go to the doctor every time I have a symptom, just because I know that oftentimes it's just the energy I'm processing. And so I would go to a healer instead, right? For certain symptoms, not all the time, but like if I'm having so much tension that it's creating pain, I know to get a massage, right? I don't need to go, like I personally wouldn't go to the doctor for that reason, right? So maybe it is just having this support network in place. Detoxifying certain things from your life, listening more intently to the calling. You know, your purpose leaves clues in your life. Can you look and see the things you're really good at? Right, because we got that career change, that new career. Chances are you know what that's about, though, if that resonates. God. Interesting. God. The light attributes of the God archetype: benevolence and compassion, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. And the shadow attributes: despotism and cruelty, using power to control people. So owning this connection and knowing that, interesting the wording here, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. You know, and also this interconnectedness can be inspiring, right? Because the fact that my energy was hooked into, this was someone I cared about, right? I was in a relationship with this person. So the fact that he was thinking of me and hooked into me didn't feel scary. It felt, okay, that makes sense. I'm actually kind of happy that he is missing me and thinking of me. And that helped to bring me resolution in that area where I felt kind of used and unresolved. So, you know, this idea that, you know, we're all connected and we're all communicating, whether or not I'm going to see what comes up in the tarot around that. There's something to that about knowing that there are people that are still communicating with you, even if they're not speaking to you, that your energy is still connected in certain ways. And maybe that's why there's some lack of resolution in some area. You know what? I'm going to go to the essential oil cards by Lisa Powers and see what essential oil wants to give us some wisdom here. And then we'll go to the tarot cards. Right? Does that sound like a good order? Is that what I did before? Yeah. Seeing if there's more resources coming in here. Cassia oil. I love cassia. It's very warming. Confidence is the key word. Confidence. Very similar to courage. That came up on my podcast with my co-host. I recorded tonight, right before recording this. That's so interesting. And I'm water. One of my dominant elements is water. So this could very well be for me. The trigger statement is, I can't do that. And the true statement is, I am light. Yeah, you are. Interesting, right? I am light. So I can't do that. But you're getting the calling. right? You're receiving the call. And maybe this is about healthcare, right? This calling. Step forward and be the bright light that you are. Serve your purpose to the world by sharing your amazing gifts. Right? There are people out there waiting for your message that resonate with you and will only really hear it and receive it from you. That might be part of the lack of resolution too, that there are people that need you, your guidance, your wisdom. Interesting. So the first card that comes out is the Page of Wands. I'm using the Spirit, what is it? Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot by Los Scarabeo. The Page of Wands is looking out, either scouting a different location or new opportunity, right? Observing, looking out. So wow, these cards are really speaking. We have the Knight of Wands. This could be quick movement, right? And it directly follows the page. So this month, there's this, we've gone from seeker to implementer. Seeking the new idea, thinking and considering about this change that wants to happen or that you've been called to do. And then fast movement. Once the decision is made, right? Decisive, quick action. Careful about impulse. That's the caution of the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is very fast moving, but might be operating on impulse, right? But it looks like with this Page of Wands that there is a foundation here of strategy, planning, observing, seeking. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we have the Four of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Another Wands card. And the Wands is about stable partnerships. This can be a romantic connection, a partnership. It's a committed energy. Also in the Wand suit. The overall theme. What are you partnering with? This can also be co-creation, like communing with divine, right as the God archetype did come out. This is partnering and ensuring that all partnerships still maintain alignment, right? Sometimes what happens with like a codependent or an enmeshed pattern in relationship is that we're not leaving space. We're coming out and enmeshing with someone else, right? For our purpose or power, whatever it is. And it feels compulsive to do so. We don't understand another way. This is something that can be learned, navigated, right? Maintaining that aligned physiology, even if we can remember to remain aligned, and anything that supports that can support that connection. So anything that really works out your body through mind body, whether that be yoga, Thai massage, right? Things that really stretch the body, stretch the mind, and have you connecting. It can even be meditation. supporting that connection with your intuition. Oh, and harmonizing. That's why Azurite Galena came out, if you recall, giving you a greater sense of inner peace. We're putting down burdens, putting down the burdens this month, right, that you've been carrying for too long. This might be part of this enmeshing that happens. Maybe people see your bright light and want to give you parts of them. And here you've been carrying all this heavy energy. If you notice, there's a huge weight on your shoulders, tension here, right? Can you unburden that? Can you give that to a higher power, source energy, to be recycled into something usable? It's not useful for you, and you really don't have any power over it, right? So sometimes that happens when people want to give you a part of themselves. They sense your healing energy, they sense your certainty or courage or expertise in some area. So they're like, here, will you hold this for me? Will you take care of this for me? Giving you a part of themselves. And it just becomes so heavy for you to carry. It becomes overburdened. So this is something you can be aware of, these agreements. Maybe you saw modeled. This can happen when someone really admires you, puts you on a pedestal, and vice versa, right? If you give someone else a piece of you, you have that same heavy feeling, right? There's this, symptoms are very similar. This heavy sense, and it's a bad agreement. It doesn't work. It doesn't make logical sense. It doesn't work, and yet we do it. And we're conditioned to do it. We see it modeled maybe in family, right? That's that enmeshed feeling. Like you take care of the emotion, all of our emotions. I'll take care of the finances. You take care of, right? And it's like it's all jumbled together. And maybe we're learning here to separate this out because we have this independent feeling now. We're coming into this more independent, financially stable, effective, influential, stable, aligned, graceful, reverent energy of the Nine of Pentacles. Very independent. Independent. Able to support yourself, right? So that can be a great indication for the career change, as is the sun. The sun energy is the most positive card in the deck, just shining its bright light onto you, gracing you, bringing positive vibes, positive outcomes, shining this bright light all over the spread, right into your heart, just transmuting the burdens, right? Recycling that energy. And then we have the High Priestess. And this is that inner alchemy, that inner work, sensitizing to the energy body, working with planetary bodies like the moon. I know the moon is a moon, not a planet, but working with the moon as well as the sun. They work together. Working with the elements and balancing, right? The sun can really help balance an overactive or exacerbated water element, overactive sacral chakra. And the High Priestess is coming up to remind you to maintain that practice for yourself, to remain aligned, so that we're not putting person on a pedestal or becoming addicted in relationship or or attracting the energy. Because often we attract who we are, the things that we don't want to see in ourselves. Sometimes we attract that in relationships so we can work with it outside of us. Where are we going from here? Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards and see what other resources are coming in for you in October. Putting down that heavy burden. Really tuning into your connection to source, right? This intuition, these gifts of perceiving energy and working with the elements, and maybe making a career out of these gifts, or following this calling. And maybe that's just on the purpose level, right? Sometimes we don't get paid for our purpose. So maybe the career change is just a shift in your position at work, or finding a new job. Like this can be what this Page of Wands is seeking. And it can happen really fast. Helps unburden and find a stronger sense of prosperity. What other resources are coming in? Third eye chakra. That inner knowing. Intuition. It is safe for you to see the energy of love in all its forms, such as angels, auras, and visions. Maybe you have a vision and it's speaking to you, right? And trusting, having the courage to follow that vision. Let's go to the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck by Chris Carr. I love the artwork on some of these decks. It's just really inspiring, and it's time to stop procrastinating. Your current obligations and responsibilities can no longer be put off. Chop, chop. It's time to buckle down and do the work. The resolution and abundance you seek requires action. Ignore any naysaying voices. Believe in yourself. You can do this. Procrastination often comes from the fear that you can't. You'll be so relieved and proud when this is behind you. So really putting something into motion here, right? With this Knight of Wands, quick movement, putting the burdens down, you know, maybe achieving, maybe the to-do list is accumulating and adding weight, a heavy feeling, accomplishing that, accomplishing those goals. I'm going to go to the Life Loves You deck by Louise Hay and Robert Holden and see if there's one last piece of wisdom here to wrap it all up. My water dominant people for the month of October. You know, what are this great sense of resolution happening by completing tasks, making that shift in career, following your calling, having the courage to do so. And maybe part of that was this is what people expected of you, right? That can be a heavy burden. Maybe it's time to shift out of that and go for what speaks to you, what's calling to you. I see myself through the eyes of love. Look in the mirror and say, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. Keep saying it until you really feel it. I love myself exactly as I am. So maybe that's your mantra, right? Your affirmation this month. I love myself exactly as I am. Extreme self-acceptance, even in the face of naysayers or people who don't quite believe in your dream or the way you're seeing things. Trust your guidance, trust your connection, and ask for the next step, right? Of where you're seeing yourself. What's that next step you can take? Take on the identity of the vision, right? Who do you have to be to accomplish that goal, to change that career, and reverse engineer that. What's the next step? Can you take that step? I think once you take that first step and you decide, things are going to happen pretty quickly, and you'll see that there are forces on your side. All right. I hope that was supportive. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for liking and subscribing. I will see you in the next one. Bye, Water Dominant. Hi there to my Fire Dominant people. Let's look at the blessings coming for you in the month of October. I'm going to pull a crystal card from the Healing Crystals decks. Azurite. Azurite. Such a pretty stone. Evolution, healing, balance are the key words. I am transformed. Something's evolving here. A healing of sorts. Feeling balanced. Balanced and stable again. Maybe something's a little off right now. Uncertain. And it's part of the transformation. It's part of this evolution. Something's changing. Let's see what's coming in with some oracle cards. What's this evolution? So separation. Separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. So maybe there's a sense that you need to evolve alone right now, or your partner is feeling that currently, and that can be very healthy. So let's see what other card wants to come up around that. Memories. Memories. So maybe currently something is being triggered that happened in childhood, right? So it's exacerbating the current situation. It's fueling the flames. Maybe something occurred that created an imbalance in the connection. And maybe there's a current separation of somebody that you want to be with, or you created a separation, right? The sense that I need to grow apart. 11:11 is on the clock right now. Sometimes that is to do with these connections that are spiritual in nature. Some people call it twin flame. This can happen where there's a separation to grow and evolve apart. So this might be something you're navigating. Past life memories might be actually coming up. That's what memories might be about. Connections in prior lifetimes. Memories together that don't really make sense for this lifetime, right? Or familiarity. I'm going to pull one more card. Citrine. Citrine is a very fiery stone. Unnecessary worries. Release the burden of worries by giving them to God for healing and solutions, is sort of this affirmation. And, citrine is a positive energy. It's joyful, uplifting, emitter of energy. That can be very supportive for you right now. Particularly if this separation is a blow to the ego, right? Solar plexus area. Citrine can really resonate with that, help repair. Help lift the mood and support you in transforming, healing, gaining perspective. Let's see what part of you wants to take the spotlight here. If this is something that has been creating some suffering for you, October might be a month where you feel a lot of healing, positive energy, lightheartedness coming back, being able to fondly look at memories. some healing in the grief process. Let's see what part of you wants to take the spotlight here. Provide some support. Virgin. Virgin archetypes coming up. The light attribute, maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit. And the shadow attribute, fear of intimate union. Interesting, because separation from a romantic partner is in the cards as well. Maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit. So maybe there is this, maybe that is this encouragement to do the inner work, to get away from the blame game or resentments, particularly if you feel wronged or used. That can show up in the solar plexus, right? A real blow to the ego. And the heart, of course, is probably coming into play too. So really healing these areas and asking for support, or just being open to receive the support of God or source, spirit, higher energy. Allowing yourself to receive that support. Where are we going here? I'm going to go to the Essential Oils Oracle cards by Lisa Powers. See if I can get some more information. It's another resource here. The Tarot will give us some more information, more details to see what's actually happening here. But I want to see. Arbor Vitae. Arbor Vitae. Flow is the key word. The trigger statement, why are things such a struggle? And the true statement, I am in the flow. I am in the flow. Take a breath, dear one, and allow yourself to feel the flow of life through you. Release your need to do and just be. Be. Yeah. Arbor Vitae is really supportive in that. Repairing maybe sense of identity, sense of self here when you inhale that aroma. Working with this the solar plexus here with citrine. Let's get some details from the tarot. I'm going to go to the Alchemical Tarot Renewed. Interesting that Virgin came in and citrine, you know, this feeling of someone being able to repair themselves and come into each new experience without being jaded, without being broken down, right? Still enthusiastic about love and life. That purity of spirit, youthful exuberance. And maybe that's your strength, right? Not feeling so jaded by experiences. So we're starting with the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is someone who might feel like they're stuck in a position, suspended, not by your own doing. a sense of loss, sometimes financially because of the coins falling, right? Might be this sense of loss in many ways. And in suspense, waiting for signs, waiting for enlightenment. The Hanged Man can often represent Piscean energy, so that might make sense. These cards are really chaotic. Just jumping out. High Priestess. High Priestess might mean there's no communication right now. Notice the silent symbol, right? This can be a card about not communicating. Maybe doing work in a different realm. I did see 1111, spiritual reunion, spiritual relationship. Sometimes people say, you know, and you might find this to be true, that you're actually working things out in spirit, right? 5D, some people say, but not in the material world at present. In the material world, what it looks like is suspension, no communication, right? But really working it out in the spiritual realm. The High Priestess also represents the divine feminine in spirit form, right? There's also a full moon in that card, and that came up for the earth dominant people too. We're having a full moon at the beginning of the month, so that might be about working with the moon cycles. The month of October 2020, full moon, maybe working with that energy. I think it's in Aries. Okay, so at the bottom of the deck we have the 6, right? 5, 6, yeah. The 6 of vessels. This is about nurturing. Nurturing energy, not too much, not too little. Each of these vessels gets a little bit of the water, right? Not too much, not too little. This is about balance. And of course, azure white is an indication of the balance. And this is about emotional investment, or an investment of intuition as vessels. So where you're putting your thoughts and mental energy, right? Where are you focusing your energy? Where are you investing your emotions? So really balancing here. Not too much, not too little in different areas of your life. Finding balance through structure, right? The vessels are structured. We have the Magician coming up after the High Priestess. The Magician is about having all the tools you need. Sometimes the Magician shows up as someone presenting as the ideal male. And it's an illusion, right? It can be a illusory. The Magician is also not as advanced as the High Priestess, or not on the same level, only because the way the Trump suit works is each card in the sequence trumps the one preceding it. And the High Priestess is 2, right? And the Magician is 1. So So there might be this idea that there are different levels, not quite at the same, right? Because I think this is probably the only minor arcana where the masculine precedes the feminine, precedes the feminine. And I think most of the other trump cards, the masculine is directly following the feminine. That's how it's designed to work. The High Priestess. So there's maybe this idea that, or this sense that there's an imbalance. So there needs to be time apart while one person works to get on the same level, right? Or things need to be experienced before we really can see eye to eye here. That can happen. Or this person really presented as my ideal, but they didn't really actually know who they were at all. And that's not who they were. So that can be part of it. We have here the Knight of Swords, facing fears, right? Facing fears, facing inner demons. Maybe this is what your person is doing, right? Maybe that's what they're out there doing right now. Really facing fears. Maybe that's part of the work you're doing as well. Navigating this time as the memories come in, facing the fears, like, what if that's just going to be a memory, right? That can happen. And then we have Lady of Staffs. The Lady of Staffs is offering passion. Interesting that it's fire, right? And you're fire dominant, offering the fire, offering the passion. Into the flame of the relationship. And I'm noticing here are these both mercurial influences or symbols? Right? See how the magician has, I think it's the symbol of Mercury. And then there's that same alchemical symbol, only without the dot. I'm not sure if that's the exact same symbol. But I think it might be the symbol for Mercury, which is communing, right? Communication. And also the female symbol here. The bottom. So I think there's meaning in this. The Lady of Staffs presenting the passion, and see how the torch is then coming into the other card to merge. This is about the merging of the two flames. Could be twin flame represented here. But as we know, that doesn't last, the merging, right? Because part of the journey of the twin flames is learning how to navigate separation, learning how to navigate embodying one part of the couple, right? Instead of this tendency to want to merge together. That focus needs to be put away from the partnership and into purpose. And when both are aligned in purpose, moving forward together, that's when it stabilizes and there's balance there and it can be maintained. So until that happens, this merging, coming together to merge, it's going to be impermanent. It's not going to be able to withstand time, right? Or it can't without suffering, right? There will be suffering involved. So maybe that's part of this learning experience and separation. And then we have Ace of Pentacles, which is a new prosperous beginning. So if it's prosperous, that lets me know that there's probably focus on purpose, or at least career. And which is a huge relief since we had the loss at the beginning from the Hanged Man. So blessings in a new prosperous beginning. The white bunny is sort of guiding and leading the way here. It's also a symbol of fertility with the flowers blooming. Grounded, right? The pentacle or the coins, it's called coins in this suit, are grounded in the earth element, grounded in reality. Both are grounded and rooted in self, sense of self, as well as aligned to spiritual purpose. And then the lovers meeting, lovers kissing. Sorry, it's not the meeting, it's the lovers kissing, right? So it's the coming back together. And that is very much the Virgin archetype, right? Because there's another card in this deck about lovers uniting, and it's in the act of merging together physically. And this is the romantic period, initiating again. So whether or not this is the coming back together of partners that were in separation, right? By coming into purpose, by focusing on purpose, life purpose. What are you here to do, to be, to create, so that you can come together aligned in that purpose? Or is this another match that maybe fits, is more aligned with your purpose, right? Is more supportive, a supportive energy, a more stabilizing, balancing synergy in that connection. So that's what we're asking ourselves, but that's a great blessing to come in October. Let's see, where are we going now? Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards and see if there's more resources here. Another resource coming in for the Fire Dominant in October. Be willing to forgive. Be willing to forgive. Ask the angels to clear your mind and body of past pain in exchange for peacefulness. Peace. Clear out the fears, the worries, the resentments, right? So that we can come back together or start fresh with the more balanced partnership, with the energy and enthusiasm of the Virgin, maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit, right? Not coming jaded from previous experiences or resentments, right? Even within the same relationship, and maybe holding firmer boundaries around certain things, right? And this is the learning. This is what the learning is about. So I'm right now shuffling the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck by Chris Carr. We'll see if there's more information. You are loved. You are loved. That baby deer is a symbol of gentleness, right? Being gentle. Not turning up the volume, turning down the volume of the inner critic, right? You're loved. You are enough just as you are, and you are loved. If you don't have a model for love, imagine yourself as a child. Perhaps you have a favorite picture of yourself as an adorable 5-year-old. Look into your own sweet eyes and acknowledge just how special you are. That child inside still needs your tenderness. And so does the adult you. Please don't abandon yourself. Instead, tap into the ocean of love inside of you. You are so loved. That love needs to extend to you, right? That's part of this. Where are you investing your emotional energy? Are one of those vessels you, right? Making sure one of those vessels is yourself. You're giving to yourself. One last card. Let's go to the Life Loves You deck by Louise Hay and Robert Holden. Right? Yeah. And see if there's one last piece of wisdom for blessings coming in the month of October for my fire dominant people. Tuning into the fire. It's very warm. I'm getting very hot in here. One last card for fire dominant people. You're never going to believe this. I am worthy of my own love. Love yourself so you can show other people how it's done, right? Love yourself in a way. Write a love note to yourself. What is it that you need, that you most need or want to hear? Can you tell it to yourself? Write it down in a love note. Right? Maybe you're waiting on a love letter from this person. Write one to yourself. Give yourself that love. Maybe condition yourself to receive love by loving yourself. And that way other people know how to love you because you're showing them by modeling. This is what I need in love, right? This feels like love to me. That's important. Not everyone can do that naturally for you, right? So you need to figure that out too, to help navigate people, to help support them in learning how to love you. So I hope there was some medicine in here for you. I hope this resonated in some way. Let me know in the comments. Also, like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. That's valuable to me. Sending you lots of love and blessings in October, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, Fire Dominant. Hi there, my air dominant people. We are tuning in, reading the cards for blessings that are coming in for you in October 2020. Let's pull a crystal card from Healing Crystals Oracle decks. Zincite. Zincite. Transformation, manifestation, innovation. I discover abundance by following my intuition. Beautiful. So maybe you've set an intention you've been working with the consciousness or energy of money and prospering. Maybe that's an intention that you set with the new moon, possibly. I say that because we have a full moon. And generally that's how we work with the moon energy, right? We set an intention on the new moon. We can set intentions with the full moon too. But generally we set intentions with the new moon. And as the moon becomes full, the intention manifests. That's one way to work with the moon energy. And perhaps that's what you're focusing on is prosperity, finances. And giving that plenty of structure to manifest in physical form by setting a really trackable goal. That's going to be very helpful. Listening to your intuition, right? As you're transforming and evolving, allowing your creativity, intuition to sort of navigate any changes that need to take place as far as business, offerings, pricing, structures, right? Really listening and tuning in. You're being guided here. Your business, purpose wants to be lived through you. You're co-creating this. So just really listen. Let's go to the oracle cards. I'm going to pull. I've them all mixed here in a bag. Let's pull 3. Let's start with 1. Twin flame. Twin flame. Okay. All right. And what was the Zincite saying? I discover abundance by following my intuition. You might also discover something else along the way as you're following your intuition. You might find a twin flame connection. you know, twin flame is really, to me, that always speaks purpose. Really being solid in your purpose. And that's when twin flame union can really come into being and really come into union, right? Sometimes we get hooked into the magnetism. I'm actually not navigating this. My twin flame didn't incarnate with me. So I can't really speak from experience on this one, but perhaps this is something you really resonate with. And this is trying to say, hey, yeah, there's something going on here, right? Just be cautious, because sometimes when we adopt that title, this is my twin flame, this is my soulmate. It's another way of saying, I put up with really bad behavior here because there's a higher reason for us being together. That you can still have boundaries and still have self-respect, even in a twin flame connection, right? In fact, oftentimes, twin flames don't unite in incarnations because there's just a better balanced match, right? Sometimes people sense like this is a twin flame for me, but it's not really a balanced connection because you're on different levels spiritually, right? Your evolution is just in different places, and coming together just creates so much suffering that it just makes more sense to partner with somebody else, right? So when two free wills are involved there, just know that that's okay. There's so much pressure for people to feel like I'm not doing enough to heal and grow to attract my twin flame. Well, you're not the only one involved. So maybe this is also a message to not put so much pressure on yourself. Maybe it's time to put a boundary in there, right? That can be a trap. I'm just saying that because that can be a trap for twin flame, the label there. Winter. The answers to your prayers and affirmations are fully realized in the winter months. Winter can also mean for me that it can be the winter season spiritually, right? As you're transforming, as you're manifesting. What the winter season can mean in the manifestation process is there's no signs. It's the still point. It's the time of not doing. It's the time of being still. Being in the basement sometimes where you can't see the future, where you can't see signs. And that can feel lonely and scary and dark. And I just want to encourage you that that's part of all process, right? Once we do the work, once we do what we need to do, this can also be a sign that you've done what you need to do. You've done the work. Now you're just sitting in the still point. And knowing that can be a relief. Because you might be thinking, what am I doing wrong? And this is bringing up emotion for me. So maybe this is landing for you and you need to hear this, right? I'm feeling the emotional release right now. And this isn't something I'm going through. So maybe I'm feeling it for you. If you're in this still point right now, have peace in knowing that that's exactly where you need to be. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to intend or inner work that you need to do to receive this. Because that's often the trap we get pulled into when someone has told us, someone that we kind of give that authority to tell us about our lives. And I understand because I've done it too. And they say, yeah, this is who you're going to be with, right? Or this is, this is your life partner. I'm very cautious because I understand people are coming to me at times of uncertainty for certainty. And the thing is, false hope can create way more suffering than just saying, you know what, I don't know. This isn't something that's set in stone. You have a lot of control over this. And That's just not satisfying for most people. So I guess readers and guides and teachers are tempted to just say, yep, this is your soulmate, this is your twin flame, and it can create a lot of suffering. That I can relate to. And it can make you feel like you're not doing enough, or you're not enough, or that there's more you should be doing, or you know, and then after saying that can create more a need, right? That can create a need for them, because then, wait a minute, if this is my twin flame, they're moving away from me. Or, you know, they don't seem to be as invested, because of course, once you hear that, you're way more invested, right? You're way more like, oh, well, this is my twin flame. They're going to see it at some point too. Meanwhile, you've already invested emotionally, and that person hasn't invested much of anything. And that's where the suffering comes in. It's not about your worth. It never was. It's not about how healed you are. I can see how sometimes that comes into play, right? You can take accountability and see that. But if you're labeling somebody and there's not a reciprocal energy there, it can be very damaging. So, and it can take, I mean, that creates so much suffering, right? So just giving that, just sharing that so that maybe that can provide a little bit of contrast to what maybe you're hearing, right? If someone is consistently sort of bringing it on home that this is your twin flame, and it's like, and then explaining the phases of the twin flame, and it's like, oh, well, they're meant to be far away and not talking to me. Okay, but what's happening here in 3D reality? Because that's part of the reason we're here. Yes, we can do work on the 5D, and I think that that's valuable, but are you investing too much in this connection working out? Because what happens if it doesn't? What are you here to do or be or bring? And once you're on that path, because if you're working with somebody that's talking about your twin flame journey, and you believe you're in a twin flame, you're having a twin flame incarnation, like your twin flame's here as well, all advice is going to point to get on path, right? What's your life path? What's your purpose? Really get in touch with that. What's your calling? And that all leaves clues in your life. What are you great at? What are your strengths? Really getting to know yourself, right? So you can navigate that. The label twin flame might be speaking to you because there's this sense of incompleteness within, or separation internally. And so it's like, it makes sense. They're separated out there because I'm separated in here. If there's no signs, right, you're in the winter season, know that you've done enough, that there's not more to do, that it's a time of stillness. You're in the still point of the manifestation process. It's a time of, letting it go and being in the stillness. That can be difficult, but know that it's part of the process. And if you know that, that can be a relief, is my point. Right? And if you keep getting the message you're not doing enough, oh, well, you pushed back the timeline now because you worried. I don't know that that's how it works, right? And I've been told these things, that's why I'm saying it. If this is what you're going through and navigating, once you're really comfortable with, this is why I'm here, this is why I'm on the planet, this is my purpose, and you kind of adjust and accept reality as it is, you have more power, right? If you're so desperate for somebody to show you any signs that they're connected, it just pushes it away. It pushes everything away. And that's mainly just in the physical world, right? I mean, and that happens in the manifestation process too. You're in the still point. That's okay. Relax into it. It's okay. There's nothing more to do if that's where you are, right? If you resonate with that. And we have calling in your soulmate. So maybe this is the work you're doing, right? Calling in your soulmate. Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together, right? It's the problem can come when we're focused on one person. If you know it's time to attract in partner, and I'm saying this as a single person, who's chosen that, right? I've chosen that because I've chosen other things. There have been times where there was somebody who made me want to be in relationship, and I was told like lies about that, like that this was your person, this was my person, and it created suffering for me. So I just want to offer that to let you know that you don't have to suffer through this. This can be pleasant, playful, enjoyable, exciting. And you're co-creating this. So you can do this work, whatever you're doing to call in the one, right? Whether it's doing the actual Calling in the One book by Catherine Woodward Thomas. There's amazing exercises in there. I went through the book. Whether it's doing manifestation work by writing out a list of attributes and qualities and things you don't want, getting really clear. What are deal breakers, right? Getting really clear. And then looking at that, putting yourself in that person's shoes. Am I who that person might want? I think that that's all really healthy, really good. And it's just when we get attached to outcomes, that can create so much suffering. So if you're thinking of one person, now this is just my belief about this, right? When in manifestation, acknowledge the co-creative forces. And when you're manifesting, ask for the greatest good of all involved, the highest good, for my highest good, right? Or this person or someone better for me, right? So you can include that person if there's a certain person that's sort of currently triggering those feelings and the emotional outcome you're seeking. Where our human fallibility comes into play is we assume we'll have the feeling state with the outcome that we've attached to it. And that's not always the case. Say that you do get into the relationship with this person that you're assigning this emotional result or outcome to, and that's not how you feel with them. This is what we're looking at, right? So, of course, there are other schools of thought on this. This is based on my experiences. This is my belief, right? When you're manifesting, you can use somebody who does trigger those feelings in you and who you assume would give you the feeling of being loved, feeling whatever it is you want in partnership. You can say this person or somebody better, right? And these are the deal breakers. These are things you don't want, right? It's really important to do thorough work there, because I know people who have written out their lists and attracted someone pretty much to the T on that list, and it was miserable for them. It was not a good experience. But since that was the manifestation from this list, they thought, I guess this is the one, right? And they gave them that placeholder. So be very careful around your thinking around that. There's not just one. And it's an abundant universe. Once you create your list of qualities and attributes and you're very clear, people will start coming. You'll start magnetizing. And it might be someone who fulfills one or two of the things on the list. And you have to know how to say no. You have to be willing to say no. Turn down opportunities, right? They're not all good matches for you. So be discerning there. That you do have power, but I feel like there's importance in me saying this. Not everyone feels this way. There are people who talk about doing specific person work, right? And it works for them. I don't know that every everything works for every person. You know, I don't know that, you know, there's one reality for every person. I don't know that that's true. There are people that talk about specific person work based on Neville Goddard's work, right? And they'll say, do these certain exercises and visualizations. I'm trying to think of particular people that talk about that in case that speaks more to you. What's her name? Agnes Vivarelli or something like that. But if you look at AGNES, Agnes Specific Person Work, she'll talk about Neville Goddard's work and doing visualizations to attract your specific person. That could be true too. That could work too. That work just doesn't quite speak to me. But you do what works, right? What works for you? What speaks to your soul? Just because I believe something doesn't mean it's universally true. I'm willing to admit that, not everyone else, right? What speaks to you? What works for you? I'm going to go to, and I did hold that for a while and I tried it out, right? I did try it out. And it just, the work didn't speak to me, but it might speak to you. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm going to go to the Archetype cards by Carolyn Meese. And see what part of you wants to take the spotlight this month. This might be what you're really clarifying. What's your actual process, your manifestation process? What actually works for you? Making it a science for yourself, right? Like I said, not everything works for every person. I don't think that's true. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe that's just where I'm at on my path. That's just what I believe now, right? I'm not into putting my beliefs and experiences on a pedestal. There are other people experiencing different things. So I'm willing to say when something's just a belief of mine, because that can change. That's the beautiful thing about transformation, right? The beautiful thing about innovation. I'm seeing something now at a current vantage point based on my own experiences from the past, what I've come through. This is my wisdom. This is what I've digested, but maybe your experience is a little different. There's people out there teaching all kinds of different philosophies, theories, processes, and belief systems. And you just got to know yourself, you know? What works for you? What speaks to you? So you can authentically approach it and experience it and think of it and make a discipline for yourself, right? A practice for yourself that has an impact in your life. That's the opposite of enmeshment, right? Where just because I believe something, everyone else should too. I don't think so. Let's see. Gambler. Gambler. You going to Vegas this month? Just kidding. Gambler. Okay. The light attribute, willingness to follow intuition, even when others doubt you. Willing to follow intuition, even when others doubt you. The shadow attribute, relying on luck rather than hard work. So, maybe you really know something's for you. You really believe in something, and not everyone is backing you up on that. And, you know, I think it's interesting when people try to debate certain things, like you haven't thought it through yourself, right? Like you're not basing this on your own experiences and what you've come through and seen. I guess not everyone's that reflective and contemplative, but as I said, I'm looking through my own lens here, and you can trust your intuition too. You can trust how you're being guided and navigated. Maybe it's onto a different path than I've taken. I'm not threatened by that, right? And you shouldn't be either. Like, this life is for you just as much as it is your purpose. So what do you need? And what steps are you being guided to take? As I said, it might be to be still right now, and that's okay. That's part of the process, right? The point of the winter is that the winter season in the process, it doesn't always align with the winter and the seasons, but like the weather, but in the manifestation process or spiritual process or path, when we hit the winter, that can be a trying time for a doer, for somebody who loves to implement, who really likes the ritual aspect of the manifestation process. Like, I feel in control when I'm doing something with it. That stillness is an important part, right? Living in that still point. That still point shows up when you're doing breath work, everything, right? So it's important to acknowledge that in whatever process you're really working with. And that can also help us really tune in to the intuition, the guidance, and sort of just bathing in the forces we put into motion, right? Like if you're in a sound healing session or healing session, you're just sort of receiving, right? That's the point. Getting into receiving, being in the stillness, being the still point, right? When you're in a session to heal, the sound waves are coming, and maybe you're mindfully tuning in and noticing how they're affecting you, right? Or interacting with them with your consciousness. That's part of the process too. But there's also this non-action of being still. Same with energy work or receiving anything, right? When you're in a receptive state, there's a stillness about it. So that might be where you're at. You might just be being called to just receive now. Just receive. Prepare yourself to receive. Sorry, that was a very long-winded way to say that. But I just wanted to be clear about that. I think that was important to address. What cards are we looking at here? Okay. This is the Spirit Wise Tarot by La Scarabeo. Generally, when there's a romantic relationship, I'm called to the Alchemical Tarot, Renewed by Robert M. Place. That one speaks to me with love relationships, romantic connection. But so the fact that I'm guided to this deck might indicate that this is about manifestation more so. Understanding that process. But the cards are incredible, aren't they? The twin flame, calling in your soulmate coming up. Manifestation. Let's see. Going to pull a few cards because I kind of went off. Sorry if that was annoying. I just wanted to clarify because there are people out there preaching. I don't need to say it. I don't need to say anymore. Okay. This will go on and on forever. We got Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck. Wheel of Fortune entering a new cycle, right? Maybe you've met a lot of karmic connections that were calling for resolution, right? That can be very tumultuous, ups and downs. And then once the karma resolves, right? And, you know, whatever debt was paid off, they go away, right? There's the magnetism eases. And sometimes we mistake that for a spiritual, I mean, it is a spiritual connection, but we can mistake that for like a twin flame. This is meant to be, right? And it's really just this resolving. That's why there was magnetism, right? Resolving. And this is about better luck coming, right? Benevolent energy supporting you in this process. And the Wheel of Fortune is also about the manifestation process. So the Knight of Swords is the first card, and this can be about since you've done the manifestation work, calling in the one, setting intentions here, this can represent people, potential partners or matches coming towards you. Maybe an air sign or air dominant coming towards you. We have the Queen of Pentacles here. The Queen of Pentacles can sometimes represent an earth sign female or earth dominant. A woman of substance or feminine energy, right? Practical, connected to the material world, prosperous. Decisive, slower moving. Maybe even critical, right? We then have the Nine of Wands. And this is about recovering from a time of hardship, right? We're recovering here from wounds. And this is not a soldier. This person is not dressed as a soldier, but they're wounded, right? They're wounded. So maybe unfair fight, didn't see it coming, and now you're just holding your ground. You're holding your ground, you're maintaining any progress, and tending to your own wounds, right? Tending to your wounds right now. Maybe part of that is going inside. This can also be the winter, you know, the hermit can't see very far ahead. The hermit is going on a journey inside, internal journey of isolation, not really able to see very far ahead, right? The lanterns are only really lighting one step at a time. Have you ever been out in the dark walking and had like maybe the flashlight on your phone? That's happened to me a couple of times where I was walking on a trail in the mountains and it started to get dark sooner than I anticipated, and I had like my phone flashlight. I wasn't alone, luckily. You can only see so far ahead, and it can be very scary. Even when it's familiar, right? So imagine if you're going into unknown territory, that can be scary. This is part of your healing process. And trusting, right? The guidance and intuition. That's part of the gambler too. The gambler is intuiting one step at a time. What's the next step? Can't see too far ahead. And in the winter season, it's very dark, right? There's more dark than light. And sometimes it's very hard to see the future. So we don't want to make any decisions from that time. It's a time of stillness. We have the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups can come in as contrition, an apology, making amends. I'm finding it interesting that both of these people are holding something out in front of them with their left hand, right? That's interesting. One is light, one is water. So maybe there is this journey of forgiveness, healing journey and experience of forgiveness that will transform you. It maybe something was done that you felt was unforgivable, right? A tower moment, an intervention, right? Divine intervention, or something coming crumbling. Lightning striking. Suddenly something comes to the light that's devastating. And maybe this is a past experience, which can be why relationship feels like a gamble now, which might be why gambler came up. Something that left you out in the cold, right? Where you lost community, felt isolated, wounded, injured. Maybe that's part of this recovery. And interesting that these people in this card are outside of a church, right? They've been rejected and exiled out of the community, out of the church. And then this card is following. Ace of Cups is about communing with divine. See the Eucharist with the dove, filling up your own cup by your personal relationship with a higher power or co-creative forces, spirit, whatever it is. That you can feel it when you're filled up and overflowing, radiating this out, right? That's part of this process. Forgiving so that you have an empty cup for divine to fill, right? So that you can feel fulfilled in that. And whether or not you've received an apology, forgiveness is for you. It's not about saying that was okay. And when you're overflowing and you're radiating out and you're so full of love that your love is flowing from you, we have the Knight of Pentacles. This is an offer of substance, a physical manifestation of the work you've done, the intentions you set, the rituals you've done. This is a slower moving knight. So while this guy is speeding towards you, he might check off a couple boxes, right? But a queen of substance that's really working with the elements to manifest on the physical plane wants a man of substance too. So maybe this offer is slower moving, but it's a better match. They're both pentacles, so it's a better match. And suddenly the world is right again, right? We have the world of possibilities. This is another cycling of, wow, this is a whole new paradigm. I can see now my process, how things are fulfilled for me. You know, maybe this time it was extra challenging, or there was more pain involved so that I can remember and recreate it for myself, right? This might be unique for you, and that's why I can't dictate to you how it might come. There is this structure that tends to happen, right, with the seasons and this process of manifestation, but you're really, really catering this to yourself. And you know, I forgot to pull this is going really long. I'm sorry. Let me. There's a time limit on my phone for recording, so it was about to cut me off. But continuing with the air dominant reading for October. I apologize as this is going so long, but so I forgot to pull an essential oils card by Lisa Powers to see while I was going on and on. I'm sorry. Hope that was helpful. Vetiver. Vetiver is the most grounding oil. Reconnect. Reconnect. Ace of Cups. I need to escape is the trigger statement. And the true statement is I am present. The root of the issue for you will make itself known. Be open to the information you receive from your body, mind, and environment. Right? That's what we do when we're manifesting. We see what's showing up. We're seeing, and celebrating the small wins. I'm going to go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards and see what other resources are here for us. For the air dominant people, I'm not air dominant, so I actually have almost no air in my chart. Air dominant people are medicine for me. We draw each other in. That's why I talked so much, probably. You fueled me with some air communication. Ear chakras, interesting. Ear chakras. Notice messages that appear as sounds, music, and words from both external sources and within your mind. These messages are real answers to your prayers. So you're going to be getting signs in maybe unfamiliar ways through sound, music, and words. So notice that. Allow that to make you feel guided, right? That's how you're being guided, right? So let's go to this. I'm shuffling the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck by Chris Carr. This is my last video I'm filming for the day. I filmed a lot today, so I'm dwindling a little bit. I'm sorry for stumbling over some words, maybe going off on a tangent. I hope it was supportive, though, that it was helpful. That's based on my own suffering, and I just want to prevent that. Celebrate your love. Celebrate your love. When we cherish our beloved, the bond grows stronger. We create deeper levels of trust, intimacy, and friendship. It's all too easy to get comfortable and put your relationship on cruise control. So spice it up instead. Do something special and spontaneous. And if you're currently looking for your soulmate, take yourself out for a fun date. The happier and more connected you are to yourself, the more attractive you will be to others. Right? That's exactly the point of the tarot. The tarot was making, once you're more connected to yourself, here comes a substantial offer, and the world is open again, more possibilities for you. And you feel more confident showing up. One last card. Let's go to the Life Loves You deck, right? By Louise Hay and Robert Holden. One last card. To see one last piece of wisdom for my air dominant people for the month of October. What are the blessings coming? The sense of fulfillment and connectedness internally and with a higher power. That's beautiful. That's going to provide some transformation, and you're going to see signs through your ear chakras of your manifestations taking place. That might also be why the sword, right? The sword suit can be communication. Everything is working out for my highest good. Everything is working out for my highest good. Trust that even in challenging times, The universe only wants what's best for you, right? Some of us say universe, some of us say God, co-creative forces, source, spirit, divine. But trust that even in challenging times, the universe only wants what's best for you, right? And is working with you, guiding you towards your manifestation and bringing you signs, right? Signs to stay hopeful, signs to celebrate even the small wins, small progress, and learn to discern which offers are right for you. That's huge, all right? Many blessings, so much love. Have a great October. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Let me know if this reading resonated, if any part of it was for you. I will see you in the next one. Many blessings to you, Air Dominant.